Hello everyone. If you don't know me, I am Olive Crochet, and today I have for you a tutorial. I was looking around my closet the other day and I was like, man, if only I had a little cardigan to go with this shirt, this outfit would be complete. And I realized I don't want to just buy a cardigan that looks like crochet or knit or whatever when I have the ability to make one. So that's what we're doing. I've really been into faux knit patterns recently. I do have knitting needles and I do kind of know how to knit. However, it literally never goes well. There's always like a hole in it from, I think, an extra yarn over, or you know, whatever beginner knitters run into problems with, I do too. Also, it takes forever and the repetitive motion just isn't as fun for me as crochet. I don't know. One day I might get back into it, but for now, sticking with crochet. So I wanted to make a super simple cardigan with one stitch only and minimal sewing. Usually my patterns follow this structure right here. It will be 2 front panels, 1 back panel, 2 sleeve panels, and then you sew them together and there's a cardigan. This time I wanted to try to do the front panels and the back panels all at the same time. I recently made a shirt V-neck crochet top that did the same thing, and I thought that it was a really cool idea. So I'm going to do that for this cardigan. Basically, instead of doing 2 front panels and 1 back panel, it'll all be 1 panel with a slit down the center for, you know, the cardigan opening. I might want to do a couple rows in the middle so I can still do a ribbing. I didn't really think of that yet, because if there's just a split and I want to do a ribbing, then the ribbing will kind of not really have anywhere to lay properly. I will probably do a bit of a modification than what I'm doing now. I know that half double crochet is really popular for clothing items, even back loop only, because it kind of gives you that V knit texture, but this is a half double slip stitch that we'll be using today, and it looks really pretty. I know that just straight up slip stitch is also really pretty and stretchy, but it takes forever, so we're not going to do that. This is a little bit quicker. I also wanted this cardigan to have a bit of slouch to it. To do that, I'm upsizing the hook a fair bit, and the weight of the yarn is lower than what I'd usually work with. I am working with a 5.5 millimeter hook, and I am working with weight 3 light yarn. And the yarn that I'm using today, it is Baby Bee Sweet Delight. I think I got it at Hobby Lobby a long time ago. I don't know how many skeins I'm going to use yet because I haven't completed it yet, but I'll put the amount of grams that I end up using right here, and it'll be in the description too. So feel free to use whatever you feel like, but I'm just telling you what I'm using. I never listen to tutorials all the way, so yeah. Weight 3 yarn, 5.5 millimeter hook, and all of my patterns that I just do off the cuff are just very vibe based. So I'm just going to, whenever I chain, I just chain enough until it lays where I want to. Gauge swatch, we don't know her. Without further ado, let's get on to the tutorial. And here I've laid out everything you're going to need. A 5 millimeter hook, a flexible tape measure because it will need to wrap around your body, a pair of scissors, and of course the weight 3 yarn. To start off, we will do a slip knot. And then you will need to chain as long as you need for both the front and the back panels. For me, this was 45 inches and a chain of 150 plus 2. But for this tutorial section, I will just be doing around 15 chains. So now pretend this is my 150th chain, and I will now be adding 2 more chains as our first stitch. Now turn your chain around and find the bumps in the back here. Yarn over and insert your hook into the 3rd bump from the hook. Yarn over again and pull the loop through the bump. Then pull through the other 2 loops on your hook. That is how you do a half double slip stitch and will be the main stitch of this tutorial. Let's do it again. Yarn over, insert your hook into the bump, then yarn over again and pull the loop through the bump and the remaining 2 loops on your hook. Now you're going to continue doing that all the way down your row, and I will meet you at the last stitch. Okay, so here we are now at the end, and here is our last stitch of the row. Yarn over, go into the stitch, and pull through. Now we are going to chain 1 as our turning chain that never counts as a stitch. And now you can see that there is a V shape here. We will only want to work into the loop that is farther from you, the back loop. Now we will continue doing the half double slip stitch in the back loop only all the way down the row. And then I will get back to you. Okay, so now we will want to work into the last 2 stitches. The last one is a little bit tighter because it was our turning chain that we made earlier. From there, we are going to chain 1, turn our work, and not work into the turning chain, but then continue our half double slip stitch until we get to the 34th row, or about 8 inches in, and I will meet you back here when that happens. And remember, I chained 150 for the actual cardigan, not just 15. Okay, so I have a bunch of this front panel. It's basically just folded in half here, and I'm about to measure it, but I just wanted to let you guys know that the way that you put this down on yourself matters. For me, I want my little V's to go up on the front, so that matters which side that I do the back paneling with. So the breakdown of what we're gonna do next is measure this to make sure that it's the size of one panel that I want it to be. Then we're going to crochet all the way up and back, and then only crochet up halfway and then go back and forth a couple times to make a little neck slot so the ribbing has a flat place to lay, and then we will chain all the way back down and then just keep going back and forth. So I'll put a little chart here of the plan. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page of what we're doing. All right, so I have it laid down, and I'm going to kind of, lay it out about how I'll lay on the body, and then do a quick little measure, see how many inches wide it is. And it looks like this is about 8 inches wide. So now I'm going to do 16, I'm gonna double that, lay that around my waist, and make sure that that's what I need it to be. So basically I'm gonna take 16 inches, wrap it around here, my waist, and if it's the tightest it possibly can be, this will be like most of my back and past my belly button, so it'll be a little bit oversized when it's hanging here. So I think that 16 inches will work for me in this case. So now I'm going to go ahead and work on the neck paneling, because I want it to be a little bit oversized because that's how I like my cardigans. I don't want it to be like massive because I've done that a lot in the past, so I don't want to be too big, so that's why we're measuring as we go. Yeah, let's get started on the back paneling. Since we established that we want the V's to be going up when it's on the front, you can count this half over here as the front panel and this in the back as the back panel. After about 34 rows, we are going to only crochet up halfway, so we are finishing out the back panel, if that makes sense. Or for this, if you're following this tutorial literally, then I'm going 75 stitches up, which is half of 150. I'll be going about 75 stitches until the halfway point, and then I will meet you there. Alright, so I have just finished my 75th stitch to this little stitch marker I put here, and now, as you can see, if you fold it over, that's halfway. So didn't mess up something too badly yet. Now what I'm gonna do real quick is just measure the back of my neck to see how long it is, pretty much. Or kind of like the collar of the shirt I'm wearing, like how big the opening is. I'm going to have this as my new end of the project, my new ending row. So I'm going to crochet back and forth only to here, 75 stitches there and back, until I hit about 5.5 inches, or I don't know, maybe 5. I don't want this to be like too long because we're going to do another panel and everything. So I don't know, about 5 inches. Yeah, that will be fine. 5 inches, and then I will meet you back. Okay, so I just wanted to give you one more look at this from a closer angle. Just to reiterate, this is the front of the panel, because the stitches are going this way, and I wanted these V's to be facing up. And then this is counted as the back panel. So right now I am doing a bit of the back panel that will be sitting at my neck. So you can see that I stitched about 75 stitches here, stopped, and turned around. This is my new edge of the project until I get about 5 inches in, and then I'll meet you back there. All right, so this is what I have so far. To reiterate, this is the front panel here, and this is the back panel. So I'll show a chart here like I had before, but this is the part that we're on right now. All I did was I crocheted and just continually checked the measurements to make sure that I wasn't going over 5 inches. Here we have about 5 inches right there. So you can see about 5 inches. And we established that that was the proper length for the neck. Now, basically, we just have to have another strip like this on this side here. How we're going to do that is we're going to do our half double slip stitch all the way down here. And then when we get to this point, we'll begin chaining, and we'll want to chain from here all the way to the end, which will be 75 plus 2 stitches. And then basically it's like we have started over from here, but we will crochet half double slip stitches all the way down, and then from there we'll just keep going back and forth until we do 34 rows, just like this side. And after that's all done, that's just the back panel completed then. So I'll go ahead and crochet up to here and then begin chaining, and I'll film that so you can see what that looks like. Alright, so here I'm going to do the last couple stitches here until we start chaining. And here's the last stitch that we need to get into right here. There we go. So that should have been our 75th stitch all the way around here. And from here I'm just going to start chaining, and I'm going to chain until I get to 75. Alright, so I'm done chaining now, and you can see how it is kind of starting to make that U shape that we want. So now what we're going to do is do our plus 2 chains, because this is just 75, and then we will turn our work. So we do our plus 2, okay. So please make sure that your chain is not twisted, because you will have to redo some work if it is. When we first started our foundation chain, I told you to work into the back bumps here, but that's not what we want to do here, because when we get all the way to the end here in our work, we're going to be working in the back loops as we always have. It's a continuation, right? So when we're doing this, we want to work in the back loops only as well, so it stays continuous. Now we're going to look for the third loop from the hook, so 1, 2, 3, and this is going to be where we start working in this loop right here. So we want to yarn over and make sure that we're on the right side of the work, and then we go 1, 2, and work into this one. Alright, and that was the hard part. Now we're just going to continue working into the back loop only all the way down this chain. And we will continue to do that until we hit the end here where we meet up with the rest. Alright, so I'm at the last couple stitches here, and you can kind of see how this is just going to form the continuation of the left panel. Since we have always done back loop only in this foundation chain here, it will be very seamless to just continue with the rest of the back panel here. So here we go. Here's our last one here. And now we will just continue back loop only. And now we are just continuing on with the rest of the back panel as normal. So yeah, this will count as the first row. That means that you will have to do 33 more rows here to complete the rest of the panel here. So I will meet you back when that's done. Now that we have the entire front and back panel done, we can move on to the sleeves. First of all, we can just make sure that both of the panels match real quick. About 8 inches here, 8 inches here, and I went ahead and counted the rows and both of them turned out to be equal. Now we should move on to doing the sleeves. To figure out how to do the sleeves, we kind of have to do a little bit of guesstimating. So basically what you want to do is, for one, not wear a sweatshirt like I am. You want it to be as close to what you are actually going to be wearing with it. So like a t-shirt or something. But since I've already measured mine, I'm just doing the action to demonstrate for you guys. So yeah, you put it on and then see kind of roughly where it's going to lay. Because if you start measuring from your actual shoulder starting, your sleeves are going to be way too long. So what I went ahead and did is put it on. I folded it down to where about it will lay and then measured it out. What I figured out is it should be around 17 inches or so. You figure out the length that you want it, and now you have to figure out the width as well. To measure the width, you want to take the largest part of your arm and measure that, and then add about 1 inch to 2 inches depending on how baggy you want this to be. I added about 1.5 inches or something. What I ended up with was a sleeve panel that was about 17 inches long, about 11.5 wide here. And so what you can do right now to figure out your calculation is, what you're gonna wanna do is take your measuring tape and lay it out and basically count how many stitches that you have for 1 inch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my gauge is about 5 stitches equals 1 inch. So whatever inch count that you want on the bottom here for the length, you'll just take that times 5, and that's how many stitches you should do. And then for how many rows to do, you can do the same thing. Oops. For this pattern, each V is about 2 rows. So you can count 1, 2, 3, 4 basically. We have about 4 rows per inch here. Roughly, you can figure out how many stitches and rows you'll need to do to hit your desired length on your sleeves. But yeah, so you're going to figure out what the length and width you want your sleeves to be and figure out a gauge. I'll put one little diagram right here to help you, just in case my verbal instructions weren't very helpful. And yeah, I will get back to you when you should have both of your sleeves done. So once you're done with making both arm panels, now it's time to sew them onto the main body of the cardigan. You want to lay out the main body wrong side up as flat as you can and place the sleeve panels also wrong side up as close to the center of the sides as you can. From there, you will sew with a darning needle or just use a hook with slip stitches to attach the sleeve panels to the main body. Next, fold the cardigan in half so that the wrong side is still facing outwards. From there, you will sew the sleeves together, and then sew the front and back panels together down the side of the cardigan. You can now see that the project has taken the shape of an actual cardigan. From there, you should weave in your ends. All right, so this is what the finished result should look like. And the only thing that you should have left to do is make the ribbing for things. And I just used the exact same stitch as the entire project. So slip stitch, half double crochet. The width of it is actually pretty variable based on what you personally want. So for me, like, I didn't want to spend that much time doing it. So I made my ribbings kind of thin. I just made a really long string of ribbing and then just sewed it on. And the order, like, doesn't matter that much. I usually do like the bottom section here and go all the way around and then do the tops and then do the side. So as you can see right here, like the ribbing will actually end where the rest of the panel ends, and then I will have the ribbing here go all the way up. Basically, the bottom ribbing will end here, and then the rest of the ribbing will be starting at that side, so it goes all the way down instead of stopping where the panel stops. I think that just looks a little cleaner. And then for the cuffs, you basically do the same thing, but just sometimes you have to sew, you have to kind of do like a decrease in the sewing, so the cuff gets just a little bit tighter than the rest of it. I didn't want these sleeves to be like super oversized. I mean, they kind of ended up like that anyway, but just put in the stitches where necessary to where it will like cover all the stitches basically. But yeah, when you're done with all of that, then you're done. You can also put buttons in it if you want. I chose to just leave it blank, so it doesn't have buttons. It can just like hang, but you can also add buttons, and then like to close it, you would just like force the button through here, because like, you know, there's going to be a spot for it. It'll be fine. But yeah, I think this actually turned out really well. The faux knit stitch turned out really well. I like the look of that. I like how I didn't have to do a bunch of different panels and sew them together. I just did like 3 in total. I also like that the sleeves didn't end up like too wide. Like there actually are pretty wide right here on the bottom, but like that's completely fine. It does like stretch over time and stuff, so if you wanted to use like a slightly smaller gauge than what I was doing in this video, that's fine, because it will like stretch over time, or if you want to block it, but I'm not blocking it, and I think that it lays just fine. It's super warm. I kind of wanted it to be like this kind of bouncy and like have some drape to it, and I think I achieved that. So yeah, this is like my first time doing a cardigan like this, and the first time like really winging it like I am right now. I'm impressed with the final product that I was able to get finished and accomplished. If you have any notes for this tutorial, please leave it in the comments. I will definitely take the feedback for future tutorials, and let me know if you are interested in doing this cardigan, or if you did it, like share the pictures with me on my Instagram. It'd be really cool to see. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.